You know, when my children were younger, I always wondered how I would explain to them why countries went to war. I know that adults always told you, particularly when you were younger, that you should settle your arguments with words and not fists. But the truth is that our countries have to go to war to stop some very bad people from doing some very bad things. We all know about the Second World War, which was probably one of the most important wars for our country, Canada, to participate in, where 1 million Canadian soldiers were sent over to fight, and 44,000 died in that war. Many of those veterans are here today. Some of them, when they enlisted, were not much older than you are, particularly those in high school. You know, you had to be 18 years of age to participate in the war, but many people lied about their age. Some were as young as 14, 15, many 16 and 17. And they got fake ID not to get into a club or a bar, but to be members of the Army, the Air Force, the Navy. And they did it because, as we know, there were terrible things going on in Europe. The Nazi regime was created in order to get rid of all people that were different than the Aryan race. Concentration camps were set up and 11 million people were killed, 6 million Jews, 1.5 million children. People in London, for example, London, England, when their country was being bombed, they went into their metro, their underground. They hid in order to survive. It's hard for us to imagine that. In Afghanistan in the 1990s, a group of very bad men, the Taliban, made it illegal to listen to music, made it illegal for children over the age of 8 to go to school. And Canadian Armed Forces went out there and fought that war, and today, girls go to school in Afghanistan. You know, you're part of a very special generation. We're part of the first generation that has access and communication to the entire world through the internet. And what we do through the internet, whether it's posting YouTube videos about tolerance and freedom and acceptance of people of different backgrounds, religions, ethnic backgrounds, when we post on Facebook, people hear. You know, my wife and I were on vacation a few years ago, and we ended up in Turkey, and we decided to not go on the regular roads, but go on some side streets. And we passed by a cafe where there were only men having coffee, and a woman saw us and saw, hey, these are tourists. We rarely get tourists on our street. Come sit down and have a coffee. So we had a coffee with this woman. She had very broken English, but she was really interested to hear about Canada. And at the end, she said, no, I won't take your money. I don't want you to pay for your coffee. All I want is for you to be my friend on Facebook. And we became friends on Facebook. And it's very interesting to watch what she likes and what she shares. And it's all about the stuff about tolerance and acceptance and our way of life here in Canada. So I hope that you continue to share this message and that Canada continues to be a beacon of tolerance and acceptance for others, and that we share that message. And it is heard. I mean, an example of it being heard was very recently, a few years ago in Tunisia. It was the youth of that country that demanded through a peaceful revolution that that country become more democratic and follow a similar lifestyle to what was happening in our countries. So today, I know it's very difficult on a day like Remembrance Day when you hear about the terrible things of killings. You've never had to go to war. You haven't lived in a country where your house is being bombed, where your parents can't go to work to make money for food, where your friends have been killed. So what do you do on Remembrance Day? Well, the most important thing you do is you're here today. You're here today honoring those who died for our freedom. But if you want to do something even more special, at the end of this ceremony, you and your friends should go over to these men who served for our freedom and saw those terrible things and lost some of their friends. Put out your hand and say thank you, and tell them that you will never forget what they did and make sure that no one ever forgets what they did. Thank you.